Hello, with Mori podcast episode 7 here with Montec, Koma, and Qball. Say hi.
Hi guys.
Hello.
So, Montec, you got something interesting.
Yeah, so a friend of mine who is in the same anime community as me
Mhm.
requested for a anime soundtrack. Uh,
Soundtrack, okay.
yeah, it's for a 1998 OVA
Mm-hmm.
called Kite, which
Right.
is
Oh, I know
yeah,
that.
Oh, the
yeah,
hentai.
it is
I've
a bit
seen it.
infamous because it's a hentai, but it's a
Yeah.
very well
I
produced
mean,
one, right?
yeah. It's all about like 4 minutes of hentai, and the rest is all action and animation, and yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so but the thing is, it has an interesting soundtrack, like a little bit like jazzy, a little bit like piano
Yeah.
compositions, like moody, and
Mm-hmm.
apparently it is a lost media. Uh,
Oh.
it has never been released officially, and as
Oh,
best
okay.
as I can find, only like 3 songs are able to be like I can only get like 3 songs from the whole soundtrack, but I think there's
Hmm.
plenty more.
Yeah. And how did he find it?
He didn't find anything. What
Yeah.
I managed to find, like the most obscure
Or
stuff.
he
First of
requested it.
all, like when you're searching for stuff, right? First of all,
Mm.
you check the Nya, you check all the torrent
Yeah,
websites.
yeah, yeah.
Then you get desperate. Okay, you check the Russian websites, the Chinese websites. Okay,
Mm.
no good there. Then maybe okay, the last straw that you usually take is YouTube. But
For the
yeah,
off chance that's on there.
yeah, the most obscure stuff is weirdly available on YouTube, but like you have to be very specific because YouTube does not want to
Mm.
give you what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and how far did you get into it?
As I said, like so far, I think 3 songs that I found,
Mm. Oh, okay.
and they are Sawa's theme, city, and main theme. So
Mm.
not much.
Mm-hmm. I mean, first time I watched Kite was like a remaster of it from like a 97% restored one, and there were like at the last scene there were like stuff from the VHS, like the 720p VHS, and the rest was all 1080, all color corrected, all like looked really good. From I think it's really moody, really well
Yeah,
stuffed.
the version that I saw had quality issues, like right in the middle in the action
Mm.
scenes.
Mm.
So maybe they found more footage. I don't know. But yeah, the thing that I love about it is like the way they play with the colors. The colors are very like eye-popping candy,
Uh,
and shadows are amazing, like very well done.
Yeah. We're playing with the light, like with reds from our earrings, for instance, or other clothing that really spats out or blood or like different elements and just like pops really at you. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
When have you seen the Coma?
Right. Wait a second. I have seen Kite a few years ago. Actually, I wanted to talk about it. And basically, the first time I came across it was in the early 2000s because there used to be this magazine in Italy called Play X. It was an
Mm.
entire magazine, and there was the trailer for Kite. In it, it was also dubbed in Italian,
Wait,
which
wait, wait,
is
wait, wait, wait.
Oh.
There was a hentai magazine in Italy?
yes, of course.
Really? Tell me more about this magazine. I'm interested.
For the time it was hilarious, but the content inside the magazine was, I think, for the most part, taken from the internet. There used to be anime and manga magazines back in the day, because internet wasn't as common as it is nowadays. And during the first boom of anime and manga here, publishers tried many things. One of these was this magazine called Play X, and it was like I said, pretty much made all from stuff you could find on the internet back in the day. It also had this CD-ROM.
Oh, wow.
Anti-trailers and
Mm.
video game, like demo of video games, anti-games, visual novels, and other stuff. Like it was, this part of the magazine was about, I don't know, how to hook up with a Japanese girl. Like, it was
Nice.
weird.
Right from the
It is also really rare nowadays. Like, even if you go on eBay, it's not that common to find leftovers of this magazine. So that is when I first learned about Kite. In recent years, a friend of mine, someone who is also on Discord, and Mars maybe aware of him, it's Soe Karno from the Yokohama Kadashikiko Discord. He's a really great fan of that OV series, and also the other one from the same author. What was the name? Mezzo Forte, the title in Italian. Of course, it was similar, like really, and also it was released in Russia as well. Kite or Mezzo Forte.
Did they dub the anime in Russian? Did they actually dub it?
I don't know if it was dubbed, but his parents had the DVD of either Kite or Mezzo Forte. I don't know. I need to ask him again.
I've heard, like, I personally heard some like really horrible dubbing coming from like many countries, but like the ones that really stuck with me was like really low quality, like Russian type of dubbing, where they just lower the background volume and talk on top of it. So oh man, it brings back memories.
Yeah, I also saw it with like the Blame movie. That's also on YouTube. Also, like they lowered the Japanese dubbing and they just put the Russian over. That sounds really bad. Also saw it like and there are a lot of magazines in Italy, like Kappa magazine, like mostly manga, interviews, whatnot, all small bits or other, mostly manga magazines. When I was there, I saw there were like other smaller magazines, but they had a lot back in the day. But it all run out because of the internet, obviously, and things. And there's also not a lot of scans of it. I mean, I scanned some in, but beyond that, it's just the covers majority of the time and not much else.
Talking about like magazines, like I'm really interested in like Animerica magazines for anime. Like the main interest for me is not because like there's like some kind of content about anime. No, it's about the interviews with the creators, which is actually not very easily available because they're Japanese. A lot of interviews are not translated.
Yeah, I know. I scanned like last week. I scanned an interview in from Tsutomani from a magazine, and another one like a week before that. About two of those, like one from 2001, one from 2006, and there's also all kinds of different magazine interviews with different mangaka and animators. I thought, yeah.
Koma, I have a question for you as an Italian, right?
Yes.
What I noticed when I was working with like these torrenting groups and everything, they would compete to get the best quality from Blu-rays, because apparently Blu-rays for anime are not created equal, and for some reason they were best quality Blu-rays usually from Italy. Do you have any comment why?
Not exactly, because we have a few company who used to be big in releasing and publishing anime on DVD and Blu-ray, even VHS before then. I don't know, maybe the encoding process. There are a few guys who are really knowledgeable. They used to be in the fan sub scene before getting
Really?
fired. Yes, yes. Also translators, many translators and people behind the fan subs in the mid to late 2000s. They used to, they now work in the industry. Like for
What makes Italy so passionate about anime? Because I've seen like a lot of like dubbing coming from Italy, which is very high quality, and like it's really surprising why Italy. Like, do you have any comment on that?
Maybe because anime used to be very popular years ago, and since the 17th, I believe, with the old mecha anime like the Gonagai based on anime, Get a Robot, stuff like that, or Gundam, Titan 3, this kind of series, back in the day, were the first attempt and the very root of our industry. And then later, the scene grew bigger, like in the early 90s, because a few companies started in collaboration with Japanese companies like Gonagai on dynamic planning, and from they aimed to create anime releases that were like faithfully translated from Japanese to Italian, because before then they used to do weird stuff like changing the names of the characters from Japanese to Italian. So
The
like,
threaded localization.
yes, a better and more faithful localization. Like instead of having, I don't know, Marco, we now have Tetsuya, like it used to be. I'm just like. I'm not referring to a specific anime that used to have a character named Marco instead of Tetsuya. It's just an example, but you got the idea. So then, the home video market grew. We got the first VHS releases that were really expensive back in the day, but there was some quality in them. And then the DVDs. I don't know. I wouldn't call our scene that big. I mean, countries such as France are probably in a way better spot than Italy, as well as America. The United States are really big on anime as well. So, and nowadays, because of the downfall of home video releases here, basically almost no one buys anime in Blu-ray. It's a really niche market here.
It is a niche. Like when I first heard that, like the least sold amount Blu-ray of anime was like 25 copies or something. I was like, what is going on? It's like in low thousands of sales, and it's only like in Japanese. It's Blu-ray market is really going downhill. Like everything physical just going extinct, it seems.
Yes, because people is not willing to spend that much amount of money to get the physical release instead of, I don't know, going on a site like Crunchyroll or Amazon Prime Video and
Kiss Anime, 9anime, going pirating, and that's a bit easier and cheaper to go to. Unfortunately and fortunately, because you can watch a lot more than just buy stuff, because there's a lot of OVAs and a lot of old stuff you just can't buy.
There are many reasons, but of course convenience is one of them. Of course, it's sad.
There's like one thing how you can judge like you mentioned fan subbing communities and everything, right? Which evolved into like this actual like marketable companies. Like you can even like notice like when something was localized and everything, because like the subtitles used to be yellow. I don't know if
Yeah, it's
many of
hard
you
coded.
Yeah. I
now
know.
they're like white, but they used to be yellow. Is it like something to do with VHS and the way they burn? I don't know, but it's like very like old school.
From like the early 2000s, the early fansub of anime, they used to have that yellow subtitles that like were
Were there
really
like
common.
any like infamous, like maybe like famous or infamous, I guess, like fan subbing communities in Italy? Like, were there like any like wars between them?
Yeah, there used to be like many groups competing with each other for whoever is gonna do the release or stuff like I decided to fan sub this first, and if you start later, you are going to, I don't know, take away people from that are watching our release, and yours is less quality. I don't know. But of course,
The
a lot of
Italian mafia is going to get involved.
now it's
Of course
almost
not.
extinct. Almost no one fan sub anime in Italy anymore. A few people still do it, but it's nothing in comparison to how it used to be back in the day.
Yeah, same for
I think
America. I mean, a few YouTubers still do it on occasion, but that's about it, really. I mean, or just like Nine Anime or other websites that just host from other websites, and those people just fans up it completely. Or there's no really dedicated groups. There are no any more than it was back in the day.
I guess like this fan subbing niche is like migrating to, like, I hope, maybe I'm guessing, to mangas. Uh, for example,
Yeah,
like Crunchyroll is doing a lot of subbing, Netflix is doing a lot of like subbing. So like they're migrating to mangas, which are still not
yeah,
that like they're still like not really like only the most popular
ridiculous.
mangas like really are in the West, right? But I would not say like actual physical mangas are a thing in the West that much. It is, used to be. It kind of went down in America. I think there was like one publisher would really screw things up. And yeah, so I think there's still fan subbing in manga area.
Yeah, I
Manga
mean,
Splash.
I even saw Dutch translating for manga, modern manga, and I like from 20 years ago or something. So, yeah, there's a lot more translating for manga than there was, especially for manga decks, for instance, or for, well, what Koma and me were doing with When and Where and other stuff from manga deck, from Kappa magazines, for instance. So, yeah. It's also a bit easier as well. Sometimes easier because it depends how long it is and how complicated it is. Like from the Beyond, it has a lot of science fiction, a lot of technical garble about the genre that it was in, and a lot of scientific terms that you just need to know to translate from Italian to English. So that's a lot of a bargain. But yeah, on animation, we had an animator last episode, in episode 6, Cyrus Rebello, that actually worked on Urusei Yatsura 2020,
Really?
Hero Academia, Boruto, and he told us the process and let us see some sketches and all kinds of stuff from the stuff he worked on. And he's basically just outsourced from another country because he's cheaper to work with. But he worked on some interesting shows.
That is wow. Oh yeah, you mentioned Urusei Yatsura, right?
Mm.
I have not watched the new one. Like I watched the old ones, like hundreds of episodes. But like, how's the new one? What are the opinions
Yeah,
about it?
it's pretty good. I mean, the fans like it. I mean, I've seen the opening a few hundred times at this point. I pretty much like it, and some other bits. But yeah, it looks faithful to the old one. It really catches the, the old atmosphere of the old episodes. Also, have some melodies from the old show in the new show and all kinds of things. And the general plot is the same, obviously, but yeah, I haven't really watched it from start to finish, basically. But he talked some lots of it, like
And
lots
man,
of.
I must say, like the opening of Yurisi Yatsura, like the old one, like the Italian opening slaps. Like it's the best
Yeah,
one. I
I
love
know
it.
from Justin Wang talked about it, the whole video on like the whole song was lost or nobody knew where it was, so they tried to look for it and where the whole thing was and who made it and all that kind of stuff. I know
Koma,
that.
how common was it to like remake the anime opening in Italian?
I mean, in general, like they ditched the Japanese openings altogether, and they recreated using like frames from various episodes most of the time. I don't know for the Urusei Yatsura example specifically, because it was an anime before my time. I didn't really watch it on TV. But for other anime, they recreate from square one, but some were broadcasted with the original Japanese opening. There are a few cool Italian songs made for anime, like Street Fighter 2 Victory. That are a really good song for it. There are a few other examples, but in general, it's not something that I am too fond of. It's from a past where anime didn't get the treatment they deserved, unfortunately, here. They were too much Italianized for people with not too much knowledge of Japanese media and culture. So it's different from how it is today.
Something like jelly filled donuts in Pokemon or other stuff that's been changed to fit the audience.
Like the Pokemon Jellyfield Donuts is like one of the
Yeah.
famous.
I always thought it was like weird to see something. I think he also had something in Dutch like that, but I don't remember. That's been so long ago. But yeah, there was a lot of
Let's not forget the atrocity that is for kids.
yeah, and lots of changes in like Sailor Moon that they changed like two Sailor Moon girls. They changed them from lesbian to like, oh no, we're cousins and we're
Yeah,
really
we're cousins.
yeah, yeah. Some shit like that. Or like in some shows they just in Germany they were really on censorship and it just changed weapons uh to invisible weapons or something else or something like that, and just whole episodes of like Naruto, all the stars were changed and were just like people were standing on nothing, like a huge star was jammed into a tree and just standing on nothing or other stuff like that. Or the socks were in other countries were censored because that was against their religion or some shit like that. And it just went on and on and on for different countries. It was
Weird.
interesting, but also pretty weird.
Was it like the same in Italy? Like how bad was censorship in Italy of anime?
Really bad, actually. like many when an anime was like at ecchi stuff, Rama, if you know the early ecchi anime, such as Rama, as I said, or I mean, had any other good example, they removed the scenes where you could see naked girls or like don't
Just
want to
like
be too
Japan.
specific. Yeah. Any sort of fan service was removed, censored, but also in the translation, if they used to be like there was slurs, or they talked in a way that is disrespectful or rude, and they like soft everything up, things like that. But in general, it used to be really, really bad back in the day. Nowadays, it's fine, I guess. Not much censorship anymore. But of course, a show that has something to be censored or worthy to be censored here doesn't go on TV in the first place. So it's almost impossible that it happens. So.
Qball, do you have anything? Do you have any censorship in Trinidad?
Well, actually, I think certain things slipped through because they thought, this is just a children's cartoon. There's not going to be anything in it, and I think there were a couple, I think, in Technoman, and there was a weird show called Ninja Robots. I'm not sure if that is the real name. I need to look it back up and see what it actually is. But a few things have slipped through because they're just thinking this is just a cartoon. We can just put this on. And also you mentioned lost media. I'm not sure if you ever checked like Bing and Yandex and stuff, because sometimes, and Dailymotion even, because I think like those search engines, nobody's policing them because they think nobody's looking there. Like I just found some of the things on Yandex.
Yeah, Yandex is like it's good at facial recognition. So they usually find anime characters really well. So like you can like copy and paste, let's say a screenshot from an anime into Yandex, and it might actually find the scene, which is kind of impressive. Yeah.
So you see, it's a reasonable trade-off, a dystopian hellscape. Not all bad.
It's like different tools for different reasons.
Yeah, and I understand thing that, well, you guys was talking about how why it is that anime kind of took off explosively in Italy. I think well, there's a few shows that like was, like I always mention Samurai X, or Rurouni Kenshin. Like that was like a huge phenomenon here, and like there's no way to really know why, but it really just, and it was the Sony dub, which was the dub that people say is very inaccurate or whatever, but that is the dub that was released here, and people really attached to that one,
Really? Did they attach to the voice actors, or what was it that people really loved about it?
Well, I mean, they love the show, right? But then they also, I don't think they'll accept there's a new dub, right? But they use the same Kenshin voice actor, but they have basically, I think they probably did a literal translation, and he talks very strange. He says, I'm Kenshin, that I am, that kind of thing. I slash people with my sword, that I do, that kind of thing. It's weird. And like we actually met the voice actor locally. He came down, and we asked him about it, and he was like, yeah, nobody speaks like this, and he liked the old dub better. Well, at least his lines, but they changed his name to Kenshi. Yahiko was Yoshi. A lot of people got like a lot more. I think Kaoru or Kaori became Cory. A lot of westernized names. But
is it because like pronunciation, it's easier to pronounce, or why were the names changed?
Oh no, hold on. It's not a local dub, by the way. It was the Sony dub that I think apparently what happened. Sony, I think, tried to dub it and market it, and I guess they didn't seem to succeed. And so it seems like this show was dumped in Trinidad because like nobody else wanted it, and they were just kind of licensing it to whoever wanted to have it at the time, and I guess we were lucky enough to get it, because it was totally different from anything that we saw on like local broadcast television in those days, because I don't think they were like anime, but like there was Samurai Pizza Cats, and there were probably like a few other anime, but I think that was kind of the show, because most people didn't have cable or any other access to anything in those days. So that was, you had 99% of people that only had television over the airwaves, and this was probably the first show that most of them were seeing that, is recognizable anime ever. You know, I mean, Dragon Ball Z was on cable, but you know, not a lot of people had that
Oh,
and got
well, like,
going on that sort of thing. Yeah.
when was the moment when you realized like the anime, like the thing that you were watching, right? Like Samurai X, right? You mentioned was actually anime. Like, when was like this realization? Oh, this animation is actually different from what I've seen before.
Yeah, well, I mean, immediately looking at it, seeing it for the first time, because I mean, look, I was obsessed with animation, but you know, before the internet, I mean, this was probably like the mid to early '90s, right? Um, this was just something that was totally different. But just looking at it, you know that there were different things that they did. Like they would put more detail and they would have like more complex shading. And seeing Western animation, that is not something you would see at all.
Mm.
And painterly backgrounds, like really getting in there and detailing certain spots and stuff. That is not something like outside of, let me say, well, not even Disney. I mean, no, no offense to Disney, but like a lot of the animation didn't have like this. There's always like a balancing act, So they had a lot more frames, but they had a lot less detail and a lot less complex shadowing and lighting and stuff in each scene.
Yeah, like Western animation really favors more the noodle style when your limbs are more like noodles rather
Right.
than actual like limbs with joints. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. For sure. But then they were like, well, after that show came out, and like people interest kind of got sparked in kind of probably the latter part of the '90s. Then there was really an explosion, because I think I don't know, maybe the video clubs maybe I have them where you guys are, but there were these video clubs, VHS clubs really. And before that Betamax.
Not for me anymore.
Yeah, but
No clubs, but there were definitely like rental places where you could like rent VHSs. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's just what they call them here. It wasn't really a club; they just called them that. So like just like a video. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's like only afterwards I thought that the name, and I was like, well, this isn't really a club, But that's just the name. So they had video clubs and then later DVD clubs, but they would get the anime sometimes ripped from VHS and sometimes DVD. Because at that time barely anybody had DVD players, so nobody used to really rent that in the mid '90s and even the later '90s. Actually, they would rip you, so you'd see the DVD menus on the VHS that they rented out.
Really?
Yeah, they just and of course, you would instinctively try to move the controls on the DVD menu, but that never worked, of course. But yeah, I still have like a few VHS that I had bought back in the day. Probably like $40 TT. That might have been about I don't know, maybe around $8 or something like that, or maybe a little less. I'm not too sure, but around that price, that they would sell copied VHS for. Very rarely you'd see an original one, but there were still a few of them, and some people were able to afford them, but most people, got them through VHS at the time. I mean, people didn't even really have a lot of computers in the early '90s, so not even video sharing and stuff.
Yeah, I kind of miss this type of like a bootleg period in time where like I would go to the market like with my mom to buy the latest PlayStation 2 game, which was like ripped, and it's like there's like this weird social aspect to sharing VHS cassettes with your friends because it wasn't that available, so like everything you have was more special, you valued more. It's like in one way, yes, you have a lot less selection and it kind of sucks, right? But in the other, there's this also social aspect to it, and like actually like spending time to look at what you're watching, like actually think about it. I kind of miss that type of aspect to it.
Yeah, we lost that with piracy basically, and with modern ways to get things, I guess, digital delivery. Now we don't trade things physically anymore. and don't pirate like copy a VHS tape or a DVD with our PC anymore.
Yeah, I sound like an old man screaming at the clouds.
Well,
It has its charm.
I will say, I mean, at least it has increased the fandom, and it's not like, we have one copy of this thing and we could only give it to, a certain amount of people, and only these few people could see it, I mean, there's more people then, there's more fans, there's more people interested in this thing. Because, I mean, back in the day, if you didn't catch it on TV, you didn't see it at all,
Yeah.
I mean, there is that. Even like we would like record it on the VHS, ourselves, just to have a copy, and we'd use extended play only, obviously. I don't know if you people know about that. To kind of get like, I think 8 hours on a tape or something like that, and we were just happy to have it to go back to at almost any time,
True.
And it really helped people like who was interested in like kind of the behind the scenes thing, to look at things in slow motion and see how they actually did a lot of stuff, because there was obviously no behind the scenes, so that was probably as close as you could get. And then probably after that there was Ninja Scroll was popular here, Ghost in the Shell was popular, maybe not as much, but because it's probably a little harder to get into, Akira was like a huge hit, even so. Like that was like a case of where an older show kind of becomes more popular because anime is becoming more popular as a whole.
Have you guys like like rental places, right? Like where you would go to rent a VHS cassette, maybe a DVD to watch at home, right? Have you guys like? Do you remember the moment when like they started closing down?
Yeah, a basic year after 2006, and I mean maybe they have been on. The sales were going downhill from before, but slowly but steadily they all went out of business here by 2010. The last one, we used to have a Blockbuster here in Italy. I still have my membership card. Yeah, I have.
Oh my god!
And I have a dream going to I don't know, Bent, Oregon, where you can find the last Blockbuster with my Italian membership card, and say to the clerk, hey, does it work here? Or do you mind if I rent something using it? Or do I need to make another one? Like that would be a dream to visit that place, the last standing Blockbuster in the world.
They probably be like surprised and frightened that somebody comes to the door.
It sounds like a perfect like idea for a YouTube video. Like I go to last open Blockbuster.
What they actually did was a YouTube channel that actually went to the last Blockbuster and rented like
AVGN, one of
Doom movie or something.
Yeah, a few people. One is AVGN, Angry Video Game Nerd. He went to the last Blockbuster, the same one I am speaking of. Rented the movie like back in the day, and then gave it back to the store. Like it was a short video, but cool to see, and a place that I would like to visit one day. They managed to remain open-ended even during the pandemic, which is unreal, because even more so during such a time when you should be isolated. They did also deliveries during the pandemic in business.
I thought like the last open Blockbuster was in Alaska. I'm mistaken?
Maybe one of the last ones, but the one that is still open is the one in Bend, Oregon.
Like, are they like just being kept open for just for being open, or like is it still like actually like viable process for them to continue doing this?
I
Yeah,
don't know.
like,
I mean, it
like,
must be.
I mean, it may be like a case of where there's like a confluence of things. Like, one, there's no internet. Two, maybe there's a lot of older people that not really interested in any kind of new thing, and DVD is good enough.
Yeah, it could be a
Because
reason.
I mean, for a lot of people, DVD is still more than good enough, because you mentioned the closing down of the, the the rental places. Now it probably happened more or less at the same time here in Trinidad, but guys on the side of the road selling copy DVDs is still a thing, right? They just have like a huge kind of wooden shelf, because I mean a DVD is just flat; it don't take up a lot of space, and some of them have like a huge amount of them displayed, and then they have like a box with just the rest of them, and then they have like the variations on pirates. Okay, this is a
Yeah,
cam,
yeah,
this is a screener, and this is a DVD rip, and
yeah. I mean, I
So what
mean,
you're saying is Oregon is behind times.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
you know,
here we had like a library that still was renting out DVDs back in the day. I remember that. No anime though. It was all like movies, some cartoons, or maybe some anime between them. But I wouldn't know. Even back in those days when I still went to the library, and nowadays it's like nothing. Nothing's been lent out anymore. But that was the closest to like a few rental shop we had back in the day. I don't really know if we had here real rental shop for VHS. I never looked for that, but I was a bit too young for that to really know. But yeah, I mean, VHS. I mean, I still had VHS of different things, of the Thunderbirds or like other shows that we had here. You still had stuff like that, but not that much in general or anything.
Well, I really miss movie renting stores such as Blockbuster or others, because there I could also rent video games. I've played many games that I got that way for the first time. And well, it was cool. Also, speaking of VHS, can you believe it that nowadays many movies that are niche are still only watchable
Yeah,
through
yeah, stuck
VHS.
on VHS.
Yeah, that is unbelievable and a shame, because I mean, one day those VHS will stop functioning,
Yeah, of
and
course, rotation of the Earth
I
and
mean, people
other
have
stuff going
done
on with things.
VHS rips, but the quality is how it is. I mean, if the masters, the original masters, are lost forever, those movies are basically doomed.
Yeah, yeah. There's a couple
There
of
is like
Japanese
this.
movies.
You
There,
can
I
try.
was like researching into like VHS restoration and stuff like that, right? Because like as you said, a lot of stuff is only available on VHS.
Yeah, and
And
also, if you like, your family used to do movies for like commemorative things, like a wedding or the birth of your son, things like that. You would like to restore them and put them on a new format that is accessible and with a modern television and looks good to see. So they are trying to find ways to upgrade and restore the picture and improve the quality and increase
yeah,
the resolution.
but to do that, right, like you're probably talking about AI upskilling and stuff like that.
Yeah,
To
of
to do
course.
that, you have to have like a really good base to work on, right? The better your input, the better your output. So the
Yeah,
problem was what you can do. Like you cannot do it like for example for a thing that only like one copy exists, right? But if you have like an anime which was only released, for example, on VHS, but you have multiple cassettes and they're all like damaged in some kind of ways, you can use this interesting technique that I discovered through astronomy. They take many pictures of, let's say, the moon or some kind of a star, maybe like even Mars, but they take like a lot of pictures. And what they do is they quote unquote stack them. So they make the images transparent. They stack as many images as they can on top of each other, and the problems, like the issues with the image, they average out, and you're only left with a clean image. So you can actually try to restore VHS cassette by having multiple copies of it and stacking the frames on top of each other. That way you get the original best image, and then you can do all the AI stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same with like
Because every VHS is different in the way they degrade. So a frame may look better on a specific VHS, but another frame may look better on another VHS of the same movie. I get to what you are. But also VHS were done differently. Like you can find better VHS and worse VHS. The same for DVDs, I guess. DVDs with better quality releases and worse releases.
Man, it's like with DVDs, it's such a hit and miss because like with VHS, you're dealing with like physical degradation, right? Something that maybe you can fix. But with DVDs, you're dealing with like compression, which is kind of irreversible. It's very difficult to work with it.
And for many series, DVD is the only option nowadays for old anime OAVs and things like that. You can upscale them, but the quality will look, I don't know, I'm not an expert. I mean, you really need to do a good job at it, I guess, if you want to improve in a way the quality of the picture. But overall, on a modern television or screen, it will look really bad for the most part.
Like when I was like doing some restoration work on some of old digital animation, like a good waypoint to know when you're going in the right direction is try to find like hiragana, katakana, like Japanese symbols or like even English symbols if they're available, right? Writing. And see if you're upscaling, if your like restoration is damaging those letters, or if they're like going like they're like remaining kind of the same, or even like going a little bit better. Like there's letters, words are like a good hard point to base where your restoration should move to, because all the other things are very subjective, but letters are quite standardized.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you can show us, like share your own screen and just show it us.
Oh, Christ. I will be more prepared next time. Right now, I don't have it, but I can definitely show some. Yeah. But I would need to come through like terabytes of data.
I mean, you can just go to present and then share screen and then you're good.
So I was thinking about Kite and the other one, OAV, done by the same author, Yasuomi Umetsu.
It's like a sequel to it, right?
Yeah. I mean, Kite and the other one are a good example of they are classified as hentai, I think, by many people, but the sex is not the main point of the series. Basically,
No.
It's the story. It's like a crime story about those two agents and revenge. I mean, my memory is foggy right now, but I like the fact that the sex is just complementary. I mean, people are going to be attracted by that aspect, I guess, but it's not the main point. You watch it because it's good animation and good action for an anime.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was released to the West actually first without any of those explicit scenes, like without any
Yeah,
sex scenes,
yeah,
censored version.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
like I was looking like through Nya website, right? Like looking for the releases, and one of them was like the original uncensored version. And people didn't know that it even existed, and all of them were so negative. Like all the comments were like, "Oh, it's like what's even the point of it?" Blah blah blah. It's like, I mean, did you watch the anime? It's like really
You
like
weren't
bizarre
prepared for the
opinion.
lolly hentai at the time. Yeah, I mean, there's a few scenes are like, oh, that's not the greatest show on TV or what or VHS or DVD or whatnot. So, yeah, I can pretty much guess why they removed it. Obviously, I mean, it doesn't make any sense where like the anime, like you see some scenes like, yeah, what had happened, like what was going on. So like, I get why they did, but still, that's the complete thing, obviously, and it's just not the main center focus. Like the center focus is the action, is the animation, is the all the other stuff, obviously. So yeah, that's pretty difficult to ignore, obviously. But yeah, it's
What
also
like what other like retro old like hand drawn style type of animes are like on this borderline type of thing where it's like like the main point is not like the explicit not safe for work scenes, but they are still in there. Like, do you guys know of any other examples like that?
yeah, maybe some old OVA said that back in the day. I mean, there's been a lot of anime that like had these really explicit scenes or were just like over the top gore and whatnot stuff that went nuts off in the 90s. A lot of OVAs did that, or like there were like a few animes that did like a few sexy scenes, and that's just it's just a bit edgy stuff, not literally complete full on sex, and then just normal animation or whatnot. Or there was like a combo of the two. Like some hentais had an actual plot going on, like in some fantasy world or something, like actually something going on than just going to somebody's house of like a childhood friend and then the rest started on. You mean I've
About
seen
wow wow.
I
yeah, it's
mean,
also fun to have sometimes that you have a plot and actually have some action, actually have something going on. It's just a sex, but it both look good. And like hell, I watched it.
Now,
Why
now
not?
that you mentioned like hentais that have plot, right? Like, are you guys familiar with Euphoria?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
What's the opinion about that thing?
I mean, I haven't watched it from. Well, I haven't watched it, but I know that can be really fucked up, but still has a complete plot from like going from normal to completely deranged and just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and just yeah, sometimes it happens, but the majority of the times it's just your run of the mill. Or some other anime have like these veteran animators working on the thing, and it's actually an opening and an ending and actual good animation, actual a little story plot line, actual things are going on. Like I know Trash Taste did an episode on like different hentais that actually had a plot and other stuff. And actually, they talked with a hentai artist of like the most well-known manga that had an actual plot with a girl that was just trying to be more popular, changed herself constantly, and just got deeper and deeper, deeper into a rabbit hole, and it's just
Ah, the
worse.
infamous Metamorphosis, was it?
Yeah,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
yes,
Everyone
yes.
has read that.
Yeah,
Pretty
yeah,
I
much.
yeah,
still
yeah,
have the numbers burnt in my head. I just cannot forget them.
Well, that became a meme basically for the
Oh
community.
yeah, definitely. Okay, getting like a little bit like off topic, like uh, all the anime, right? What I really miss in nowadays anime is hard sci-fi, like hard
Oh yeah,
science fiction, which is
same.
like based on actual like really hard science. Uh, that's what, for example, got me really into Evangelion, right? It wasn't like the psychological aspects or the characters.
Yeah. Nowadays, it's just fantasy and isekai and whatnot, and more the kid shows that just go on and on and on and on, and it's just the same thing. Yeah, and then I mean, periodically these things just change one another. I mean, in the early 2000s, well, it was vampire stuff, and before that, it was more in the 90s. It was more the gore, the science fiction. 80s was like lots of science fiction. 90s was lots of science fiction, but nowadays it's like barely anything that has science fiction. I mean, you have
So, in what age are we living right now? Is it like isekai or is it like
isekai,
shonen?
fantasy stories, game stories. That's the general theme that's going on right now. That's really popular. Every kid is like reading that, and sci-fi is barely a thing nowadays. There's like a few shows that I know like of, like kind of the Great Snow Sea. That was an anime that was like completely on a different world with science fiction and whatnot, but there was not much going on. It was not much of anything was going on, or maybe some random Gundam was going on, or some random Godzilla stuff was working on. Like it got like 3 CGI Godzilla movies were made a few years ago. That was not sci-fi, and beyond that, yeah, not much is going on really in the sci-fi community. It's all fantasy basically nowadays, and slice of life also a lot of that.
Man, it's like I'm sorry that I'm like jumping around themes like I'm having anime ADHD, but I was thinking, I started using Audible, right? It's for listening audiobooks. And then I remembered when I was trying to read Spice and Wolf visual novel. Is there like a thing for visual novels which are like voice acted? Like, is there like an audiobook for visual novels?
Yeah, I mean, visual novel games, yeah, those are like.
I'm
You get
sorry, not visual novels, light novels.
that were out. Okay, as not really. I mean, I guess a bit, but not that much, really. No, I mean, I know it more in game form, or literally that you just see text scrolling around and a story is being told. Yeah, I've seen that, or like animes that are literally just background drops and then just text scrolling, or like a voiceover is just talking everything over the whole story. There was like a few things that Kenny Lardell ever talked about. Like you just see still images of anime characters going from left to right or whatnot, and then it's been told over there, but not much from that. No, not really. No.
Gotcha. Okay. Can I shoot another like random topic?
Sure. Why not?
Artificial intelligence and
That's a
anime.
jump.
Yeah. So, do you guys think that in the future all of anime is going to be produced by artificial intelligence, like voice acting,
Nah, I think it's
animation?
gonna help
I-
it in some way or form, but completely
Everything,
taken over? No.
everything, no. But surely because AI is becoming really powerful and
Quickly.
yeah, I mean, probably it's going to be used more for the artistic aspect of animation. Like, I don't know if you have seen. I mean, you have probably have art made with AI, like
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
yes,
Dali, for instance, or other one.
they will use it to create the frames for the anime, probably, and with the supervision of a person of an entire staff, it will be possible to create anime cheaply in the future. But I mean, they can try to make anime entirely story and frames by AI, but it would be the death of human art if I mean, I don't know. We will see how it's
Yeah.
going to
I
be
mean,
changed.
I sent the link, right, in the chat, of an anime which was produced by Netflix Japan about like this robot dog and like the kid, right? The thing is, this one is using artificial intelligence, like something similar to like the ones which generate art, like the ones you can use to generate backgrounds. Like all of the backgrounds in this anime were actually generated by AI. It wasn't drawn. It's like I find this like fascinating, and it's already happening in some places.
maybe I also send it in the Discord because if this going down, then we can't access anymore.
It's like it's bizarre, and like the voice imitation, right? It's so damn good right now. It's like what's it
Yeah,
like? Was it like 12 voices or something? I don't like. There were like a website which you can use, right? You give a sample of someone's voice, and that AI imitates it so close to perfect that
yeah,
it's
yeah,
getting
yeah.
scary.
I've seen it with the presidents, it being done, and other celebrities, and just making a meme videos on that. Yeah, I've seen it around, or like with text bots, making whole sentence or YouTube videos are in made with that sometimes for for fun or other things. Even schools even use those text bots to just do their homework or other stuff or just presentations, just completely done by AI, just to get away with stuff. But before that, it was Wikipedia, and now it's chatbots helping them. So that's like an interesting thing, and
We
also
will
seen it
see.
in games.
We will see the social repercussions this will cause, because
I
like
mean,
it's crazy to see how good ChatGPT is right now, and
yeah.
how it's gonna be in 10 years from now. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to know. I don't know if I want to know.
And do you guys like imagine the future, right? You sit down to your computer and you, instead of like searching for anime, you just ask to create anime for you.
Just the perfect anime for you.
Yeah, like generate a perfect anime for you.
I
I
mean,
mean, for now, I see it more as a joke than literally, because this whole AI thing has not been around for that long. I mean, yeah, sure, like in the early 2000s, you had some things going on, but now with the start with Dali and all these other stuff, it's like really taking up speed, and now it's more like for use for like backgrounds for games, for instance, like in a Rick and Morty game. It was used like for different paintings or posters. Was AI used just for background noise? Used for that, or other small things, or just helping with stuff or other things. But it's an interesting concept. I see things being used maybe in anime for background stuff or like posters or other stuff that they need to use to quickly make something, but completely making over, no. I mean, I know a manga that's been completely made with AI and just taking images
Really?
and making a panel. Yeah, it was one in Japan. It was a whole like 1 million copies sold in a month or a week or something. It was
Do you have like like a specific example of manga made with AI?
can look that up right now.
there was a manga made with the style of Osamu Tezuka, if I remember correctly.
That is like that's the thing,
With
right? It's like it
some
allows
sci-fi
like
story or something like that that was made with AI.
I will have to check it out. But like this is the thing, right? It allows the artist to not even the artist, but like the director who has like maybe he wrote a really good light novel, right? It allows him to transform that light novel into another format, into manga with visuals. It's a fascinating transformation in my opinion. I think like
Yeah,
one step is images, the next step is probably going to be video, which is
yeah,
slowly happening. I think it's
kind
slowly
of.
happening already. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, oh yeah, and I have it. Cyberpunk Peach John is it named. made in Japan and sold in like Japan, ook physical and digital. Can send the link. And it's blue in color too. This is also really interesting. I mean, it's an interesting concept. It's like its early stages. It's nothing concrete, but yeah, it seems interesting if I could make the perfect sci-fi anime that I ever wanted to watch or see, or like different from different animators, different.
Yeah, if no one makes it, I will make it by myself.
Yeah, yeah. I could just if nobody wants it, I can do it. So you can just make anything. It's probably not gonna look too great or anything that I really wanted, but it would be an interesting project to work on just to find it. I mean, you tried to use AI to find for Brand New Day. You tried to find some stuff.
Yeah, and I quickly learned the limitations of ChatGPT. Apparently, it has a really, really good time at lying and creating information. It's
Ah.
like it doesn't want to admit it doesn't have the information if it's not pre-programmed into it. What it will do, like it will, like I will give it like all the information I have, right? And instead of like actually giving me like searching and giving me the specific information about it, it will create the information about it, and that is useless, but very like redirecting, like very time wasting, because like
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
to deal with that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I would never use it for my own research to magazines or other stuff that I want to know, or images for the stuff I research. But yeah, I mean, it's fun to play around with now. It's more like a fun tool than anything else, than something serious. I mean, it's been used for some things, but yeah, it's it's in the beginning stages of this of things, and not really anywhere right now.
Well, guys, I'm sorry to interrupt, but like it's getting late. Tomorrow I have work. I have to
Ah,
go. But it's been a pleasure for you
sure.
guys having me for the second time, and
Hmm.
there will be a third time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Why not? Sure, why not?
It's always there.
So see ya.
See you
See, good
soon.
night.
Good night.
Fucking finally, he's gone. Freedom.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So,
But well, okay. Well, back to anime, I guess. And then just jump from idea to idea. Kind of the Great Snow Sea. Have you seen it, Qball, all the way?
I haven't seen the whole thing yet, but
Hmm.
you know who I think Montec was mentioning there's no hard sci-fi animation these days.
Nope. Like
Yeah,
almost nothing.
so that might be one of the I didn't get a chance to talk when he was here, but I think I would have said that is probably one of the few ones that there is. Not that it's so hard, but I think it's kind of in that direction, if that makes sense, because you have like all these ideas that Nihei brings in all of his stuff. That
Mm.
is pretty unusual for animation these days. And if he wasn't already so huge, I doubt they would have.
They
Um,
doubt to have even made it or even thought about it
yeah,
for things. I mean, yeah, I mean, for something like that, I mean, obviously you had to dumb it down because it's changed in the last 20 years. You can make a faithful Blame movie or Blame adaptation nowadays, or else it wouldn't really sell to the younger audience. That's why they had to make everything more cute and everything way more easy and easy to work with. So yeah, they couldn't change it. For Kaina, it's like you also see it's kind of weird. You also see like his mental state going from really dark to really bright. Because in the beginning, from the interviews, he said like that he was afraid of death. He didn't like people. He was pretty much introverted. Well, he is introverted, pretty much, and just all by himself, and just didn't see the future too bright in. That was basically what Blame was. I saw in like recent interviews I skimmed in. And nowadays, with Guy in Macedonia, is like way more, is a way more healthier mindset nowadays. So, like, it is the first anime that these characters are mortal. They have no special abilities, nothing special going on. They're just your regular old humans going to this crazy planet, basically. And it just is interesting take on like how his mindset completely changed from like his really dark, gritty stuff that was his most interesting works to more slow slice of life sci-fi story. I think the movie is gonna be more interesting, but yeah, we're not there yet. So yeah, and obviously the different theories going around, or like the wave industries and the sea chips and the builders and all this stuff going around. So yeah, we'll see how that's gonna work out.
Yeah, I think there's like a big connection between mental illness and a lot of anime and manga creators. I think the most popular one was from Evangelion, was it? Anno?
Yeah.
He's and you could I suppose, I don't know, does becoming more popular make them more or less depressed? Because then like is obviously good to see the work become more popular, but then there's more pressure. So maybe it's
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was also with Ava was for the series he was pretty depressed, so that's why he made the series so dark and just gone with all these different teams, all these kids just going through the most horrible shit you can think of, and how they were self-loathing and well, etc., etc., etc. You all know about that. And now with the rebuild, you get them way more. He wasn't depressed anymore, and he wanted to complete the thing, so he completed the story. And you see it also in some Gundam, like one Gundam anime, was the creator also really depressed. So that's why the whole thing was so dark, and it just influenced the whole thing. You get the most interesting stuff out of it, or the most best animation out of it, because, well, I mean, creativity and insanity have something in common, or something of like real depressed, thoughts have something in common. Like the most interesting artists are the most depressed or the most insane artists. Often of not. Like they begin real normal and then they just spiral out and you see the most interesting stuff. There's always a connection between the two. Like with one artist that drew cats, and after like he got some sickness from said cats, his paintings were just completely derailed. It just became really colorful. The cats just became these almighty creatures, and it just became weirder and weirder and weirder and bigger and bigger and bigger till you saw no cats anymore, and just colors and figures and whatnot, and it just became real weird. And you get also kinds of different things, or it just looks all really flat, or you just see eyes or different symbols or whatnot. It's all the same kind of patterns you see through all these different paintings or different works that something to do with it.
hello?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
Yeah,
seemed
haven't died
for a
yet.
second, but
That was my rant about that.
It's fine.
yes, but yeah, definitely there's like a link between the two of them. The the mental state of somebody and the stuff that they create. I mean,
Yeah.
people, I don't know, people are a lot more medicated now, so it does that mean that you'll see less things like Evangelion, less strange kind of out of the way things. There might be something to that, but I don't know. Well, I'm glad that Nihei is becoming a little more well known. I mean, like he's well known within a small circle, but I mean he's had well, he's had like 3 adaptations. He's had the Blame adaptation, and he's had the
Sidonia.
Sidonia, and now he's having, Kaina. So I mean, I hope you'll get to see more stuff from him. And
Yeah, and maybe a bit more interesting and a bit more, more complicated than just the most easiest stuff of like saving a princess, stopping war, etc., etc. It's a bit too easy, really. Like it's a nice watch, but just too easy. It's a bit too, yeah, not that interesting. When all said and done, but who knows? I mean, we still have to see like this year something in October, like the new Trigon season 2, with like the rest of the story. Have to see that. So let's hope that turns out good, and I hope they
well,
reprint the manga.
I was wondering if he kind of. I mean, I mentioned, the Kaina is kind of a little more tropey, something that people can grasp a little more. But I think it's also because he's probably trying to wrap the ideas that he likes into something that might be a little more mainstream, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's the right thing that he should do, but I think that's what he's doing. I mean, I still like the ideas, like I haven't seen the last episode yet, but I want to see what is the the scientific explanation, because I read a lot of sci-fi where like I read this book where these people were on a generation ship, on like a 1,000-year journey, and at close to the end of at the tail end of the journey, there were people that had kind of degraded into like primitive society, because there was a forest region within the ship that was supposed to provide oxygen for the entire ship, and there were people living there like primitive Amazonian tribes in a spaceship,
in a spaceship. Okay.
So they and there's this idea of like artifice, going through their mind, like why is it if we dig so deep we find in steel, why is it that if we climb so high, we touching glass and we only seeing stars,
Yeah.
But it's like these are ideas that I think are really interesting and should be used more in animation. But I think Nihei, is there any other anime that I could think that has this kind of, or manga that has this kind of these kind of ideas explored? Because it's something that is super difficult to do in probably much more difficult to do in live action and animation, but it's so fantastical. But
Yeah. I mean, there are like manga that does that, like 2001 Nights, for instance. That series delves into that, like different seed ships basically going to different planets and see how those evolve over time, or like some other instances with that, with time travel, or like going into a cryopod and seeing your whole life flashing by, and basically seeing how you would die and what would happen after that before you wake up. And there's also different stories about that. So I've seen that in manga, and there's also an anime about it that's also called 2001 Nights.
I haven't watched 2001 Nights, the anime. I have the manga though. Actually, there is another volume, 2001 Nights plus 5.
Yeah. For I also read that one. Yeah. I mean, I saw in Italy a few volumes of those, so that makes sense that you would have found it. But yeah, there's not a lot of that going around in anime or in manga, for that matter. I mean, a bit more manga.
That is pure sci-fi. 2001 Nights. I mean, there are not many examples of sci-fi done that way in a manga. That is, I mean, there are, of course, lots of sci-fi series
but
from the past, but not done the same way as 2001 Nights.
No. Far not so realistic, or that more scientific.
The realistic part, like you can pick 2001 Nights, flip over the pages, and like if you didn't know it was done by a Japanese author, you wouldn't know, or rather, you could think it was done by a Western author of comics, but made by a Japanese mangaka.
Yeah, it's the same with like mangaka like Heaven's Door, for instance, that also made what was the manga again? Like 3 volumes of that. It was also basically on a guy in the far future and uses like these really advanced drugs and just goes in doing these on these insane trips, just going through his own life and other lives, and it just becomes blurred what is real and what's not, and like going through experiments and all that kinds of stuff. It's also really interesting, and also the style looks really Western. It doesn't look Japanese at all, so you wouldn't know where it was made. So it's also really interesting to read. What was it called again? Fuck. Let me see. I mean, there's one volume that's been translated, like Heaven's Door, what already said by Last Gasp. It was really interesting. Watch this read. I mean, there's also all these kinds of shorts on drugs and all different kinds of ideas they have about that.
I'm checking out the 2001 Nights manga. You know, that is like when I heard that name, that is not the kind of story I imagined it would be.
Yeah, it's not really like you're on a spaceship and kind of different tribes. But how does the story go? Did it just have an AI that steers that ship, and those communities can live on that ship, and the ship is just so big that they don't know that they're in space, and just that's their world?
Right. Well, I mean, is it really any different than, you know, the real world in a way? Because like it just happens to be a smaller spaceship. I mean, or have you seen or heard of The Wandering Earth? Is a Chinese book and movie. You know, is like this is kind of on a tangent, but it kind of reminds me of some of these stories where the sun is found to be gonna go supernova much sooner than expected, and they actually turned the entire Earth into a moving spaceship. So you know, there's 10,000 engines built all over the fusion engines built all over the surface of the Earth to push it away from the sun, you know, and to hopefully one day make it orbit around another sun in another solar system, you know. Now, I mean, like it sounds ridiculous, and I mean it is, but it's just the kind of huge idea. Like, and to test the idea, they actually had to put like one engine on the moon, because just to break its orbit, you know. So both to break its orbit and to test the whole idea of moving an engine, of moving a huge body with an engine, you know. I just thought that is almost like a Nihil-like idea, you know.
Yeah. It's something like Nihil would do, like in biometric, for instance.
Yeah, and just I mean, this is literal geoengineering, you know. Like we're using the whole Earth as a spaceship, and like when it reaches into like the deep expanse of space where it's no longer heated by the sun, the atmosphere, you know, starts to snow, you know, nitrogen and oxygen, snow and that kind of stuff. Is really interesting. And then during that time, you know, the planes and things stopped working because there's no air to provide lift, you know. It's really like it just, and of course the people, they could no longer live on the surface of the Earth. So there's gonna be, I think there's like 2,500 or 5,000 years of people having to live underground, you know. And just the biological chaos that happens above, because everything, I mean, it could preserve species, you know, save the DNA and so on, but is just above the earth is like almost like a vacuum after they've left. You know.
Yeah.
Of course.
I mean, I saw a movie like last year, like Moonfall. That's also a ridiculous movie. There's literally a Dyson sphere in the moon, a hollowed out moon made by aliens, and then it's gonna fall on Earth, and they need to stop it and they have to, because some AI was hiding from another AI that was way more powerful. It's a ridiculous movie. It's funny, but it's really fucking stupid. And it also has kind of the concept like having a planet just traveling around dimensions and traveling around space, going through other planets, and it's just basically what that was. It was really stupid, but it's a fun watch. It's really stupid though. Oh yeah, and the manga is called Ultra Heaven with the drug.
Keiichi Koike, the author, Keiichi Koike Keiichi.
Or you could share it either both in the chat and in the Discord. So sometimes I can't make out and or remember the
Yeah, it's Keiichi Koike, the author.
Yeah, same.
Ultra Heaven. It's about like drugs as well, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, just explain that the whole plot device just a guy experimenting with a lot of high-end drugs far in the future. And the stuff goes wild, but the art is really good. It's really well done, but unfortunately
It's
probably
not finished yet.
It's unfinished. Some say it's finished, but on a lot of sites it's still pending, like it's still going to continue, but that was 2005, 6 or something. Like that's not going to continue anymore. Like that was it. So yeah, that was.
What's the name of it? Sorry.
There is another manga that was recently released in English called Heaven's Door by
Yeah.
It's a single volume. It's like an anthology of stories. I think they are similar to Ultra Heaven, so you may as well check that out. I might as well.
Well, that reminds me of Heavenly Delusion. That was
Oh, that one is about the guys, the kids living in this orphanage or something like that. Heavenly Delusion.
Right. Yeah. So it goes between like those guys and then the guys living in the post-apocalyptic world because there's like a resemblance. Like one is a clone. One on the outside looks like exactly like one of them on the inside. I think. So like we don't really know. That's kind of like a secret that's gonna be revealed later. You know, like why. What's that?
Oh, that manga. Yeah, I see the cover. No, I recognize it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's one of the best new interesting ones that I've read. The anime I think is probably on its third or fourth episode. Is only recently. It's coincidental that I started reading it and immediately I saw there was an anime coming out. You know, but yeah, I had attempted to read what is it? Eden. It's an endless world. I don't what is it? Yeah, Eden. It's an endless world.
Eden. It's an endless world. Yeah, that's also a really good one.
Yeah, but it's
really hard to get in English.
It takes a lot of like there's a lot of times where the story kind of diverges into something totally different and grounded, you know, because it starts off as this crazy science fiction thing. And then like there's this whole part where he's in like a gang war in like a modern city, you know. But I mean the art is, you know, it's crazy. The art is great.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be a lot of kind of somewhat grounded science fiction manga or anime. A lot of it seems to tend more towards fantasy. I've also been reading what was it? Doctor Stone. At least I've started it.
Yeah, it's also like going from like all of humanity has turned to stone. Some got out of their stone state and went inventing and just going through thousands of years and just that's also kind of interesting. It's also the same guy that made. I have the art book from that.
Well, that guy could draw though. That guy could.
Oh yeah. Oh, Sunken Rock. Yeah, Sunken Rock. It's also really
Boichi.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, Bochi. Yeah. I have the art book from Germany I bought it once. Also really detailed art. It's more like,
But it is actually is he's Korean, right? But the manga is it actually a manga? Or
Yes,
is it like
because
it's manga. The
manga is defined by the fact that it is it was first published in Japan. So whether the author is Japanese or not, it shouldn't matter. Of course, there are people who still think it's not a manga because the author is not Japanese, but technically it's a manga. The same goes for like Blade of the Phantom Master. It's another manga published on Japanese manga magazine, but the authors are Korean. So technically some people don't consider it a manga, but it is a manga.
is there a line where you would like stop calling it a manga? Like just out of interest. I don't really particularly care too much about the strict definitions, but I mean, it's kind of interesting. Like, what if it was, like if it's somebody that moved to Japan and drew a comic, Like if it was like somebody from the US that moved to Japan and drew a comic, would people still think that's, would that be manga?
If it's published by a Japanese manga magazine, in theory, it should be considered a manga, but I don't know, depending on the person, like most weebs would say that it's not a manga because the author is not Japanese. Like, I don't know if if you are aware of Radiant, that shonen manga done by that French guy. Of course, it started out in Europe, but it was then published in Japan, and also an anime was made for on this series, an actual anime made in Japan, but people still don't consider it a Japanese production because, of course, technically it started out in Europe and not in Japan. But if manga start its life cycle in Japan, I see no reason why not consider it a manga. But of course, manga means comic, right? So it's a stupid word. Like, it doesn't matter if you call it a manga. I mean, we use manga just because we can tell it was made in Japan, but it's actually a comic book. So it doesn't matter if the author is not Japanese or it is a European, whether it's European American or from anyone else.
Same with anime. I mean, anime means literally animation. So in Japan, the name Disney movies also anime. So, and people are like, no, this is not like for The Last Airbender, for instance. I think, no, that's not anime. That's not the style of anime. So they just have a war about that, like which is which and what is what. There's also like a lot of joint companies, like the French, American, and the Japanese, or another country that just made one thing, and nobody's really sure, like, what is it? Is it really anime? Like, Kenny Lauderdale made a video on what is anime and brought up all these kinds of different anime properties. Like, these are in this gray zone of like, it's all joined up, but nobody really knows which is which, or something is made in America, but it has a just style from Japan. So it's all like really weird. Like, is it anime or is it not?
And Actually, there are many examples of comic artists who went to Japan and made manga. Yes. Like even in Italian one in the 19th called Igor, which is also from he was born in the same city I was born. He went to Japan in the early 19th and made a manga there, published by Kodansha. It's not well known because it's a short story, but still it's a manga in any possible way because it was published there. And I mean, now I think since the manga got so popular overseas outside of Japan, there are other comic authors who are interested in publishing in Japan. Of course, publishing a comic book in Japan is tough because the schedule, how hard it is for a mangaka to keep up. But I mean, with exemptions, maybe it's going to be more common to see manga done entirely or partially by foreigners in Japan. I think it's a good thing. If anything, it will bring some a new color to the industry. I don't know what you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I know that like in the anime, like they just going on about their own fandom, like weeps and whatnot, like just talking about just their own industry or being an otaku or being a hikimomori or anything like that. They just talk about their own industry, and it's like digging down graves in a way. Like it's just constantly doing the same thing over and over and over and over. I'm like, oh, what's so interesting about this? Like, yeah, one or two times, but like now they're just going over and over and over. Like they lost kind of inspiration or idea. So yeah, that can be a bit more like a bit of fresh air that you get something interesting in the whole thing, basically.
Yeah. I don't know. We will see if new authors will start working in Japan as a comic artists or not. Also, going back to the topic about AI, we will see also how that's gonna change the industry. Maybe the profession of comic artist in Japan is going to be better in the future for the health of the mangaka, the creator of the series, because it's not going to be tight with a schedule that is so apprehensive for them. And I don't know, like you wouldn't want to end up like Kentaro Miura or some other mangaka who was destroyed personally by its work, its job.
I mean, yeah, I mean, and going back even further, like for features and other stuff. Willem Chow, ever heard of that guy on YouTube?
I don't think so.
Your
William
voice
Chow?
is...
Yeah, Willem Chow. That's he owns a manga anime shop, and he was in the 90s. He was an subber for lots of anime, lots of OVAs and other stuff. And he also talks about the time like that he had all these kinds of different communities, like via email or other sites, and obviously about old anime all this. It's a bit slow, but it's fairly interesting to see how that all worked back then. It's an interesting channel to have.
Oh yeah.
Your mic Qball's a bit acting up.
So, changing subject, have you watched something recently in anime or read a manga during the past weeks?
What have I watched? I recently watched Attack on Titan, like the last OVA. I watched that, like the 50-minute OVA. They're finally getting to the final part of it, I hope. Because it's been like 3 or 4 times at this point that they're going like the final part of part B, of part C, of part D. I'm like, Christ, just end it already. I've been waiting for this shit for years. Just
Yeah,
can't do it already.
that's gonna be a meme, you know, dragging
Yeah,
out the end,
it
you
already
know.
is.
You know, it's going. I mean, it's gonna be a meme for the ages. I think. You know. I mean, there's even the Aaron whispering meme is already a meme. You know, like I think that is like that's what we're gonna see in the future. But
Yeah. Lots of new anime. I'm constantly doing it like ReZero, for instance, or other anime. It's just constantly going to A, B, C, D, F, G for like 12 episodes.
but at least you could say that they're not rushing it. You know, because they know they kind of
No.
They want to
take their
milk.
time to get the
They want to
quality
milk
up.
the series as
Yeah,
long as they can.
they don't want to. I think also they don't want to pull a Game of Thrones kind of a thing. I think that is part of it. You know, they don't want to. They don't want to rush it, and then I mean, they always have the Blu-ray release to probably clean up something, because I mean, I was talking to the animator last time. I was asking him about how the Blu-ray releases sometimes they clean up stuff or they fix stuff because they're not under the wire as much, you know. And I always wondered if Attack on Titan would reinsert some of the hand-drawn scenes that were created. I don't know if there's like a comparison between like some scenes that were shown in trailers that were hand-drawn. Yeah. And
Yes.
you know, I always wish they had well, maybe for the Blu-ray they'll put them back in, you know. I don't know. Or at least give people a choice.
Yeah. I mean, I know for the anime that like for the author, like the anime is like its end product basically. It's not the manga, but the anime. Like there's a lot like in the first episodes of season 1 when Aaron had the dream of like the future that what's gonna happen. That was on anime only. That was not even in the manga. So like the anime is like he's really involved in anime and just trying to get like the last version of it in anime. So hopefully the ending is a bit better. I mean, I haven't read the whole ending of in the manga, but that's how far I got through with that. And yeah, and lots of other anime are gonna do this ABCD thing, obviously, which is gonna be annoying. But yeah, if you want quality, that's gonna be the way, I guess. For a lots of popular shows, it's a bit irritating, but what can you do about it?
At least for something like Attack on Titan, they put the effort of maintaining a standard of quality instead of other shows that are basically just advertising for the source material.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I was in your place, I would just go with the manga and don't bother with the anime. Even though the anime is decent, I watched the first season. I didn't feel like I wanted to continue, but the production was really high.
Yeah, it's a bit late for me to go back to the manga now, since I'm being so far with the anime now. So whatever, I watch it. I just try to do that.
And the problem with manga, with anime, there are based on ongoing manga, is that you risk to never see the end of it. If not,
they have half an anime, or the anime is made before the manga has a real ending, so you get an original anime in anime like Helsing did, or any or
you get an open ending or an original ending. That is that could be alright or suck entirely.
And one of the most infamous ones for me was the 1997 Berserk, you know.
Oh yeah, that
Oh
was.
yeah, it's famous.
I really
But
like
it's
the
famous also
1997 Berserk series. I feel like it was a really good anime, though. Even though the
Oh yeah.
ending was,
the original, yeah.
yeah, of course. The opening also and the ending, great songs. I mean, I prefer that anime TV series than the newer Berserk anime adaptation in
Mm.
CGI. Sorry. I don't know what you guys think about them. The newer Berserk anime, I didn't watch them.
I watched both of them and they were pretty bad, and it just got worse and worse. Like in the second season, like CGI got really bad. Like characters were just fading in and out just to transform, or like movements were really awkward or other things. And in the Blu-rays, they tried to fix it, but the deed was already done, and it just I saw a YouTube documentary on it, so like how much they fucked it up. It was like a director that only does Moe shit, two different divisions of the team worked separately, so they didn't really communicate with each other. So a lot of stuff didn't get done. Everything original, all the original thing that they made was scrapped, and the thing you see now was made in the last minute. Originally, from Trace, it looked better, but it just got worse and worse, and all these different complications. Like with the studio for the CGI was also from some game characters or something like that they made, and yeah, it was a shit show basically. Yeah, the good OP and good AD, but that's about it. Beyond that, and they went past the famous arc that everybody the Eclipse arc.
The
They went
clips are.
past it eventually, but yeah, we're not. I don't know.
Yeah, I was wondering how did they portray that part in this new anime, but like you said,
Yeah, it's not great. I mean, you see characters running from something away, but are not moving at all, or you see some CGI monsters that have like the eyes are like googly eyes, so it looks more comedic and not fun at all. It's like a few scenes that work, but the majority is just so bad. It just doesn't work at all. It's just it's so there's so much going on with that stuff that you just have to remember all of it, like to describe it. But it's like,
the problem is that Berserk is such a great manga.
yeah,
The author was so great from the start that it's difficult to recreate that with an anime. Unless
to anime, yeah,
it's almost impossible. I think that the original series from the 90s did a decent job. Of course, it was impossible for it to compete with the manga, but at the very least, it was all right as an anime. And I would like to see a sequel done with the same style, of course. Then the manga went on slowly, very slowly. Miura had many problems to keep up with the series. So many times he went on hiatus, and it ended the way it ended. Unfortunately for everyone who likes Berserk, myself included. I don't know, but like I don't know if you are familiar. You should be familiar with Blade of the Immortal. That is another great manga with an exceptional art. And they did an anime adaptation.
Yeah, 2019. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, it's I think complete story-wise. You get a whole story, but I mean, if you even without watching it, you go and look for screens from the anime, and you compare it to the panels of Hiroaki Samura. There's no comparison. I mean, a normal person wouldn't prefer the anime over the manga when the
No, no,
difference in quality and the art is so huge.
yeah.
You
I mean,
just need to go with the manga in cases such as this. You can
yeah,
find out about the series with the anime, but then you must switch
for the
over
complete
to the manga.
experience, like everything. Yeah, I mean, with the anime, it's like at least it has a good director for it, like the same director that did Technolize and some other anime like it. So there is a lot of this experimental stuff going on, lots of hand-drawn stuff going on, and it's just great atmosphere, good OP too. And but the action was pretty choppy and yeah, not too great. But it was a great adaptation nonetheless. I mean, I wish it was 2 seasons because at the end of the season they skipped like a lot of chapters between the main plot and then just or main guy just going its own way and having its own little story, and then after that we came back to you know to like the 1920s or 30s or something like that,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
years later. And but still overall it's a good adaptation. I think it's like it could be way worse. It could have uh, a director that had no clue what he was doing, but this director really knew what he was doing. He was the right guy for it. And the censorship, because every episode had a card up like this is for 18 plus, don't go watch it if you're like 16, which they should do with more shows in my opinion, so it doesn't get diluted or you just get lots of shit censored for no reason, and that kind of dilutes everything, and that's just irritating in my opinion. Like a lot of stuff gets censored, like in Doradora anime or like other stuff. So it's like some anime that still use blood, there's still gore or what other or whatnot, but it's just not a complete experience. It's not like what you have seen in the manga or what you have known about the series. So yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, censorship is a really awful thing to deal with, even in manga. Like Blade of the Immortal has the cover art of the newer edition, the Kanzenban edition, censored because the manji symbol looks like
Swastika?
the swastika. Yes, basically on the cover of the Italian release was censored, and I guess
Mm.
for the Spanish one as well, which is a shame because I mean I get it why
Yeah,
you did it,
obviously with World
but
War II.
it has another meaning for Japanese culture. So I mean,
Yeah, it was more aligned with Buddha. It's a 3,000 year old
yeah,
plus symbol that
and the
stands for
idea
love.
came from the Japanese, I think, more than the Western publishers, which is a
Mm.
shame.
I mean, I also saw it in the anime that it was changed and it didn't look like the original, like in the manga. So it's a shame for it, yeah, um, I mean, it has a different meaning, obviously. It didn't have to do anything with World War II. So, yeah, it has way more a religious symbol than anything else. So that's the thing, yeah. I mean, and you have also this in anime lots of kind of weird censorships for like tits, vaginas, or whatnot, like sun rays going everywhere to just block everything. I'm like, where are they coming from? Like, there's not even a window. How does that work? And sometimes they're clever about it, like putting an object, for instance, like an Ava that was like with a beer can. Yeah, like first like a big beer can, like since she comes in, there's a big beer can before it's
Oh yeah, I
private,
remember the scene.
picks it up, and there's a smaller one, like that for comedic effect. Yeah, that's a smart idea for censorship, for instance, or like in other anime they do that, or like with a toothbrush for a vagina, or something else like that. So like, and those are smart ideas, but otherwise it's just. And nowadays they even remove the nipples or the vagina or whatnot. And I'm like, why? It looks so unnatural and it looks so weird. It doesn't fit with what they're telling or what they're portraying. I mean, sure, it's just a small detail, and why care? But it just looks so weird. It doesn't look natural or normal at all.
Yeah, something that we are dealing on with today, and it shouldn't be like this.
Mm.
Well, that might be something that yeah, one day somebody is gonna use. Oh no, they're probably already doing it, using AI to put back in stuff that the sensors remove.
Ah.
You know, that is a
Okay.
use. I'm sure somebody's working on it already, doing it, or you know.
Mhm.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, if it is gonna look anything like it, or just one big mess like what you see now. But I guess it's a bit more advanced, I guess. I mean, I've seen it before on the app before, but that they changed it a lot, and they just changed it a lot around, and just trying to decensor a lot of things, like how they would look originally, but sometimes just partially or periodically or whatnot. So yeah.
All right. Um, are you guys familiar with a series called Gunslinger Girl?
I
No.
heard the name, but I'm not too familiar with it.
Basically, is
It-
this series set in Italy with like it's a fantasy like Italy, but the names of the city and the setting is it's Italy, but of course it's not real life Italy.
Ah.
Basically, there is this agency that deals with politics and stuff like that. It's associated with the police, sort
Mm,
of like. Basically, they take care of girls who have been like victims of incidents or abuse, things like that, and they get they basically they become cyborgs and have their minds um, basically they become new persons like in
new
service
person.
of the agency. Yes. um,
Okay. Okay. And how old is this?
this is from
I see in
the early
2003.
the early 2000. The manga started in 2002. It was originally like done with a fanzine. So it was, but then it became an official manga released, published by Ashi Media Works. Good art.
Okay. Okay.
It has
Okay.
this police vibe, and
Mm,
basically it's about the relationships of those girls who turn to be cyborgs and the person who is taking care of them, and the
mm,
jobs to be like um, snipers, kill
yeah. 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 Yeah.
counter terrorism, these sort of things.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm doing a really poor job at talking about it right now, but I mean, if you never
Maybe
heard
you
of it,
can.
check it
Maybe.
out,
Yeah.
because I'm watching it again with a friend these days. We almost finished the first season, and well, really good. Also, great anime opening, the first one.
Okay. 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 Maybe send it in the
In
Discord.
Discord.
Like,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, well,
The there's a few, mentioning the adaptation of style of like manga style into anime. Like yeah, you mentioned Blade of the Immortal. Just because of the how elaborate the panels are, is impossible to translate
yeah,
directly.
yeah, yeah. Hiroaki Samura has one of the most detailed and better manga art out there, even today. I mean, close to Kentaro Miura and others. It's impossible to prefer the anime art to his art when it's one of the very best manga art out there, in my opinion, of course. But
Um,
Yeah.
have you
Yeah.
ever have you read the what do they call it? Well, I was thinking of like other times, but other times that is translated, but kind of the reverse. Looking at like Attack on Titan is kind of a rough in anime form. I mean in manga form, and it looks a lot more conventional in anime, and also Ranking of Kings. Looking at Ranking of Kings manga, you mightn't even know it's a manga because it looks like a children's book at times. Not necessarily in a bad way. And
I think Attack on Titan was, I don't know if it was the first manga the author made, but it was surely one of his first attempts to do manga, and the art improved over the years. Maybe not, I mean, also it was originally, the author went to another publisher, but he was denied, refused it. They didn't accept his manga. Then he went to, I think, Kodansha. He went first to Shueisha, then to Kodansha, and at Kodansha they agreed to publish his manga series. I don't know if you are familiar with this story.
Do they have different standards? Like, do they I always wonder, like, is there like a limit to how rough a manga could be? Because also Girls Last Tour, like the art is kind of rough, but you're not gonna forget that.
The art is peculiar in Girls Last Tour. I mean, it's like these cute chibi-like girls, but they are in this dystopic setting. They are by themselves, basically, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I have to.
Does that make it? I think in a way that makes it more frightening, and more sad too, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole series is basically two cute girls going through this endless structure, trying to survive. Like that's been through multiple wars, and
how disrespectful would be for me to call it like a blam.
Oh no!
With
It is
cute girls.
The author said it was inspired by Blame. Heavenly,
yeah, of course.
It makes a lot of sense that it is, and the style is also not too clean because the author couldn't really draw like good lines, so it really looks a bit sketchy and lots of paneling is also inspired by like buildings just falling, like pages without text and so forth and so on. But it's like more like a philosophical turn, but also yet cute. So it's not like The Last of Us or something like this. You're getting really serious, and it kind of ends depressing, but also kind of philosophical and nice, I guess. So it's an interesting watch and read. The anime never got a season 2, so it never got a full adaptation. But the manga is fully in English and fully translated in multiple.
Would you recommend it to someone who likes, I don't know, Aria or Yokohama Kaidashi Kiko?
Yeah, I think so. It's not completely the same vibe, but I think you'd recommend it.
Yokohama is you are in this future where the land is partially submerged
flooded,
flooded with water. But I mean, if that it's sort of dystopian, but you don't feel like the end of the world.
No.
You feel more the transience of time. How things used to be and how they are now. Because we have Alpha, which is a robot, an android. She doesn't change most of the time. She experienced daily life in this world, but the people around her, especially that young guy Takahiro, he grew up during the series from a kid into adulthood, and you really feel the passage of time and how things were once in the world, and it's really nice.
I mean, humanity has accepted its fate and just tries to move on and just tries to live as long as it can. And
But it's a little different though because they're not fighting against the the dying of the
no,
light kind of a
it's
thing. They're
just
just
going with the flow basically, and it's just
Going with the flow, yeah.
I had and just like that guy is really good at coming up with ways to tease ideas that he doesn't expand on, and I think he does it for a couple of reasons. One, to expand the world, and two, if he wants to expand that thing later in the manga, he will. Like the people in the spaceship, that was such an interesting thing.
yeah.
Yeah, like they they could have done something, they could have gotten involved more, but I don't think it's even possible for them to land anymore. It's just that is just an endless flight that they have to be on. I was kind of disappointed at his other manga because it started like it had a lot of threads like that, but none of that has to be explained. That was is it Kino no Tabi or something like that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like 14 volumes in total, yeah, the whole thing. That reminds me, I also have
sorry, the same author as YKK. He made another manga. It's but it's about a guy with a plane.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think
Isaki of the Cub, yeah.
Hmm.
It's really interesting, but there's no I don't feel like it had like a nearly as good as an ending. It just kind of ended one day.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they wanted to go to with Alpha, like, see us at the end of the world and the sun is gonna die out or something like that. It's just the thing want to calmly just end it and not going on and on the sad ending of like, yeah.
I'm okay
or you
with
mean the manga?
Yeah, the other one. Yeah, no, that one I thought YKK had a good ending, because it's kind of musing on the world
It's just
will just kind of
rushed in
continue.
the other manga.
Yeah, and Nihei does it too. Like I'm surprised at how many manga kind of do that at the end. Or they seem
time constraints, money constraints, or the magazine didn't want to go on with the series anymore because they wanted something else, or it didn't make enough sales, or something like that, or the author got sick, or all these different reasons, or it didn't have a better ending like that, or who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah, it kind of reminds me that
kind of
I
sad.
recently got the art book for Yokohama for like €60, and didn't they even have a
Oh, you got
brand.
it. You got it.
Yeah.
I mean, from where? From eBay or
Yeah, from
somewhere else?
Yahoo Auctions. Like, I just randomly looked it up, and like, boom, I saw one open, and like the next day it would end. So I waited, and then I had a bidding war with one guy for like a 200 yen or something. So I had like
Congrats.
64 euros. I bought it, and yeah.
Did it have the extra or just
Yeah.
one
I
piece?
have the plane, the foam plane that you get all sealed up.
Everything. That is great then.
Yeah,
Congrats.
really a
You
lot of
scored
work.
a real deal here.
Yeah, I know. I've seen.
Usually you have to spend at least more than €100 for it on eBay, or even with proxy sites, and then you don't have the
extra.
certainty that you will get the extra with it.
Yeah. No, I mean,
I got my own on Mandarake through Chulit more than a year ago, 2 years ago, actually. Well, good find. I'm happy for you.
Yeah. I mean, I saw it on sites for like 300, 200 euros or something like that. And on
Speaking
the
of
Discord,
which, and they reprinted the first volume in English. It's not perfect, but they fixed the contrast issue it had originally.
They did it. Nice. But how would you know that is the fixed versions, though? That's kind of
Because the first print is out of print, like
ah. You pull it out.
if you go on Amazon right now, you will get the newer version. I think.
Yeah, should have bought it. Should have bought it and waited for this version. But how would you? How would you know that? And like 94, like 45% of it was like way darker than the original or something like that.
But this version is fine now. It's not perfect, but neither are the French or the Italian one. Of course, they are still better than the original English print, but now that is also fixed, we are good to go. Apparently, the best version is the Russian one.
Oh,
you wouldn't
yeah,
believe it. And they are almost finished, I think, with the publication there.
Okay,
5 volumes, an omnibus as well, with the newer covers for the 10 volumes edition. Still, almost it's mind-boggling because almost every country is getting Yokohama Kaidashi Kiko now, but for many years, everyone wanted this series to get released, whether it was in English or in Italy or any other country, but the publisher didn't want to release it because they kept on saying it wouldn't sell. Even in France, they decided so late, I don't know why, but they did. And I don't know, I expect it to arrive in Spain as well at this point, or other countries as well. But either way, we got it in English, and that alone is an achievement. You remember people were getting self-printed bootleg copies of the manga.
Yeah. Also, so those float around. Yeah. I know.
Also in Russia, they used to have a pirated release there. 3 volumes published from this pirate publisher, and then even them got it officially released.
Yeah. I mean, they said on the site like it took like 25. No, not 25. Like 26 or 8 years for to finally publish it. Or something like that. Like it took a real long time for it to be published. Yeah, I saw like self copies for it, like on some sites and on the Discord, a few thousand people had it. And art book, well, not for the art book, but also people paid for it like in 2013, like 60 or 50 bucks for it or something like that. So yeah, it's been a long while. I mean, and I hope that the anime gets re-released on like Blu-ray or DVD or anything.
I'm not too confident about it. I don't know.
The YKK anime, you mean?
Yeah, that one it's not a complete but adaptation. It's a couple of OAVs, a few chapters adapted in
1998 and 2003.
Yeah, and I mean, many OAV series are like in a really bad spot. They didn't get re-released. Too many to count, actually. We can make a list of anime OVs from the late 80s to the early 2000s that deserves to be re-released or ported on streaming platforms, but they probably won't for many reasons.
The problem is where the masters, because they're obviously are mislabeled somewhere else or destroyed or whatnot.
Yes, but also the will to publish them again. The same as abandonware for video games. For one reason or another, they become lost media, and the only way you can access them is either pirating them or buying expensive older releases from Japan. And I mean, for most people, that is unthinkable. It's impossible to do, but for many reasons.
I mean, for the anime, the DVDs are like 60 euros right now. Like next year is gonna be 70, and so forth and so forth. Like each year, it just gets more expensive. Like I got like the 2003 one DVD for like 40 or 30 or something. I was really lucky, and like 1998 for like 60, like for the normal price. I got it. So yeah,
Yeah, it also depends on how desirable the series is in its niche market. I mean, if there are people interested in that OAV, of course, you will find people willing to buy the physical release of it. But I don't know, some are cheap, but of course, since you are importing them from Japan, you are expected to pay quite a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a really problem for that for a lot of OVAs too, and a lot of OVAs were just used as marketing for the manga, so they were never finished. And you just get 2 episodes or something, and that's it, and it just hangs on a cliff note. And yeah, buy the manga basically. They were just made for those, really. Just you could just greenlit everything, anything, just to get a few bucks to get it directly to VHS, and bingo.
Yeah, nowadays they are almost not doing OAVs anymore. Like
No.
sometimes they do for some series. I don't know if you know Girl
Like
from the Other Side. They did a
Hero
couple
or
of
Titan or
yeah, but I mean compared to how it used to be back in the day, when you could get complete series in OAV that were great with higher production values, great animation. That is a thing of the past that we will never see again, probably.
mm. True. Yeah, majority are just extras or something, or like small animations just after an anime. Like you see like a minute long animation like for Konosuba, ReZero, etc. Then they made those, or
Yeah,
even to
and of
end
course, the more popular the series, the higher the chances for it to get something. But again, it's nothing in comparison to how it used to be back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, they even tried with an OVA to end the series, like with Wolfsrain, for instance. They made a separate OVA just to end the anime. Like, you have,
Yeah, that is the ending of the series.
yeah, I
Basically.
know, yeah. So it's also kind of weird. Like, you see, like the normal 26 or 24 episodes, or 22 episodes or something, and then you see the title scroll, like, oh, like, from where's the rent? Oh, yeah, you watch the OVA, and then you see the rest of the season. It's kind of a weird way to end the thing. I don't know if it was budget constraints or some other idea or something, but well. But I guess we should end it here. We're like over 2 hours, 2 hours and 17 minutes. So
Oh yeah, it was fun.
yeah, it was fun. We had a good run. So well, thanks everybody for watching. Or I mean, listening more than watching. But see you all next time, like maybe in 2 weeks or a few weeks. So good night.
Bye bye. See you.
Right.
Good night.
Later.